Welcome to episode number 2 of the New Noise Podcast. I am your host, Ben Ellis.
And I am your co-host, Connor Ryan.
Nice deep breath in there from the co-host. How's it going, people? We had a lot of fun shooting the first episode. We talked about the Grammy nominations for 2017. Not a huge fan of the list that was assembled. There is some cool artists in there like Radiohead and Metallica and stuff like that. But overall, I felt that it was a very weak list, especially for album of the year. But anyways,
there wasn't a lot that came out in 2016 that we were crazy about.
That's true.
But even when there is, we usually don't agree with the Grammys no matter what. So whether me and Ben got some of our favorite bands in 2016 or not would never matter, because most of the time we're just disappointed. So
this is true. But anyways, today we are going to talk about the most anticipated albums of 2017 from our standpoint. Of course, we're kind of anti-Grammys, anti-popular, so we have a lot of artists that you may have never heard of, or
there are some we do that are still pretty big, but at the same time, Ben especially, he dives into a lot of stuff that people don't know about. So we have some of that to offer, but we also have bands that we're not even looking forward to that are putting out albums this year, but we just want to talk about them because we don't want to just focus on what we like. We want to talk about
we want to cover the widest spectrum possible. So we're going to cover some pop artists, some other artists, but mostly alternative and, rock, the stuff that we like. So, getting right into it, I think the number one and most anticipated album we are excited for is Nine Inch Nails. What do you say?
All they've announced is they have 2 major projects planned for 2017.
And they also have the Fragile reissue and that other thing coming out, right?
The one, it's already out. It's the Fragile, reimagined almost.
Yeah.
It's like there's no vocals.
Yeah.
And then there's added songs that were from that era. So it was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed it. But I'm looking forward to new music over that. That was really fun to hear. But like I said, the EP that came out at the end of 2016, that was way more exciting. And that was only 5 or 6 songs.
5 songs.
5 songs. So it was just amazing to hear what's to come of Nine Inch Nails. And for there to be 2 new projects. There's a whole whack of rumors going around. I know a little while ago they were talking about a Fight Club musical.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I don't know if that'll happen. Where David Fincher's the director of Fight Club, and there's been talk about David Fincher and Trent Reznor trying to do a musical, maybe even for Broadway. It sounds totally bizarre to me, and I know it may not happen. It's one of the rumors. Another rumor is A Year Zero Part 2. Actually, with all the Trump stuff going on, it seems like even with the lyrics to the new EP, seems like Trent Reznor's fucking pissed off again.
Yes.
Which the album before that, Hesitation Marks, it felt more of a clubby record. It was still, Trent Reznor's lyrics are usually pretty negative and dark, but it still seemed a little more upbeat. Obviously, with the song Everything was the first positive song by Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that song.
It's an odd song. I like it better when you listen to the whole album with it.
Yeah.
But the song on its own, I wouldn't put it on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Nine Inch Nails, that's very exciting. I mean, Atticus Ross is now an official member. He's been working with Trent Reznor for quite some time.
Yeah, probably almost 10 years now, I would say.
They've
Social
done
Network.
Social Network, which they won an Oscar for.
Yeah,
that was a great movie, great soundtrack.
That was the world was awakened kind of to Trent Reznor when he started doing film scores.
Yeah.
He was everywhere. You heard of him. You're like, yeah, I've heard of him. But before then, you weren't really, he was in Nine Inch Nails, but they weren't they're huge, obviously. But when you get an Oscar for something, you're obviously going to be
recognized.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Trent Reznor is very connected. Always has been. Like Ben said, I think most people know him now because of his film scores. He's worked with, we said before, Marilyn Manson, Saul Williams,
David Bowie.
Dr. Dre even produced one of the songs on the Fragile, Even Deeper, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
David
was even deeper.
It was even deeper. I think he did the drum track to it or something.
And I'm Afraid of Americans. That was
With David Bowie.
yeah,
Great song. Check out.
Great song.
That's actually a great song for what's going on
today.
now.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
And like we were saying, like it does seem like it'll be interesting to see what happens in 2017 because there's a lot of people with what's going on political in the States. We keep hearing about stuff, but it's like a car crash. You can't help but look away. I mean, whether you're for Trump or not doesn't really matter. The country is split. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting what happens with music this year.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Nine Inch Nails, you can't deny it's going to be a big year with the vinyl reissues coming of his albums.
The new EP, I actually ordered the vinyl. It hasn't come in yet, but I think it's supposed to come out in spring.
Yep.
And I got the new rendition or remastered of the Fragile.
Yes.
And all the other vinyls, too, are being reissued, which is great because I don't have With Teeth or Broken and the Fragile.
The Fragile, that's the one I'm most excited for. Cause
I kind of regret getting the new Fragile.
But that's a collector's item, man.
I know. That's why I got them. I got the EP and the new remastered instrumental because it's apparently once in a lifetime kind of thing. Apparently, bands say this all the time, and then years down the road, they're like, "Why wouldn't we release it again?"
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot more rare than the rest of their work. So
yeah, so a lot of Trent Reznor's vinyl or Nine Inch Nails vinyl has been out of print for a long time.
And Social Network, actually, I would say the Fragile, With Teeth, and Social Network are the ones I'm looking forward to be reissued because those are winners.
Yes.
So yeah, Ben, who else do we have?
My number one anticipated band has to be, album for this band has to be Queens of the Stone Age, desert rock band from California. You know who I'm talking about. Just really looking forward to seeing what they have to offer after Like Clockwork, which I thought was such a masterpiece. One of the greatest albums of the last 5-10 years.
Oh, for sure. Hands down.
And because of the heaviness of that record, because of the emotional content in it, I think that this new album from Queens is going to be more straight ahead, more, back to business kind of rock stuff.
Party.
Yeah. What they're kind of more known for.
Yeah. Kind of rated R kind of feel.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an amalgamation of what they've done before, but they're going to bring something new to the table and exciting as well. Or at least I hope they do.
I really hope, because Elton John and once again Trent Reznor were both on Like Clockwork.
Yes, a lot of guests on Like Clockwork.
Yeah, who else was on?
Dave Grohl drummed on most of the album,
which he's done in the past for like Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah,
which is another classic.
That that group of bands like Dave Grohl and Trent Reznor and Josh Homme, they're all friends and they all do a bunch of projects together. And I find anything they usually do together is worth listening to. So
there's a lot of talk because. Did Nine Inch Nails didn't tour with Queens of the Stone Age yet? They played like a show together.
No, they toured in Australia together.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. And apparently they've really, like you were saying, they've grown closer.
Yeah.
And there are rumors because the albums will be coming out kind of similar, like in the same year.
Yeah. That
eventually, of course, they're going to tour. And I hope to God Queens and Nine Inch Nails tour together.
Yeah, because apparently in Australia it was a huge success. But with two bands that big, it's hard to have an opener. That's the only thing. I know. Yeah. So they would flip a coin every night.
Oh, would they?
Yeah, see who went on first.
That's really cool.
But I'd still love to see them regardless. That'd be an amazing show. Yeah, follow up to Like Clockwork.
I'm hoping there's a lot of people featured on the record.
Well, that's the thing with Queens. Every one of their records has featured musicians. So even Lullabies has Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top.
Oh wow!
They're close friends. Him and Josh Homme. He's a huge ZZ Top fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they are very well known for their collaborations.
They've worked with Arctic Monkeys.
Yep, they're on each other's albums all the time.
Yeah.
Knee Socks from AM.
Yeah, Josh Homme. Homme. I always want to say Homme or something. Homme. He actually worked on Lady Gaga's newest record.
Yeah, there's a song on there too, and he did Iggy Pop's latest record.
Yeah,
he was the guitar player, Post Pop Depression, which was hailed as one of the best albums of 2016.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it. I'm not huge into Iggy Pop. He's kind of like that. His newer stuff is more like kind of spoken word and like kind of like, so it's kind of hard to get into.
It feels like Lou Reed.
Yes, very much so.
A little bit of Nick Cave, but I would say Nick Cave's better than the both of them these days.
Yeah.
Well, Lou Reed's passed away, but I think Lou Reed's last record was Lulu with Metallica, which
that's crazy.
Not the best record to end on, but
no.
Anyway,
but he has a legacy of music that doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
But back to Queens of the Stone Age, I just think that I really want a record to come sweep me off my feet in 2017 because I feel like I haven't been swept off my feet since Like Clockwork. To be honest.
And there's a lot of bands that we love. I'm noticing they're putting out EPs. Like Angels and Airwaves put out an EP. Nine Inch Nails put out a new EP. I just feel like it gets you excited, but I want a full length.
Yes.
And even Puscifer, one of my favorite bands, they put out Money Shot. Still a great, good record, but compared to their previous work, it just didn't.
It felt like a leftover. Conditions.
A hangover of Conditions of My Parole. They actually put out a remix of the new record though, which I personally might like better than the original. Yeah. Which
Don't they do an accompaniment remix album to every one of their albums?
Yeah. So each record, it's almost like they go into a routine where Puscifer will put out a record, then put out a remix, and then put out an EP that is separated from that.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed that they like.
Well, they did that Donkey Punch.
Donkey Punch the Night.
Yeah.
C is for you know what.
Yeah.
The C word.
Yeah.
I think it's like insert genitalia reference here. Yeah. I can't remember exactly how it's said. My buddy Ian's going to be pissed because I didn't say that right. But he was already pissed because we messed up a Saul Williams last week.
Oh, yeah.
I said I didn't say one of the Saul Williams records correctly, and he brought it up.
Come on, man.
Fuck you, Ian.
Get your shit together.
Anyway, so another band that I'm very excited about is The Killers.
Yes.
They did put out Battleborn years ago. I think it was 2012.
That was their last record?
I think so, yeah. They put out a Greatest Hits after it. Okay. Which came I think they've put out Christmas songs too and stuff.
Yeah.
They're very odd, this band. They don't stay a certain way. They're one minute they're putting out heartbreaker songs, and the next minute they're putting out like Christmas songs, like I was saying. But what I think I've missed about The Killers is their early work. Some of the heavier stuff.
Yeah,
and apparently
obviously Hot Fuss.
Fuzz is their best record. Yeah. I think that's the thing about The Killers is fans are always expecting and wanting a record just as good as Hot Fuzz.
It just can't happen though.
I don't think it will. The first song. So anyway, what they're talking about while they're writing new music is that a lot of the music they're writing right now is heavier than what they've been doing. In fact, it may be their heaviest, but they did say they're not a heavy band, so I'm not talking metal here. But if you listen to the first song on Hot Fuzz, Jenny Was a Friend of Mine, that's a good example of a heavy Killer song.
Yeah.
The bass is just out of control, the drums are great, but it's more of a heavy alternative rock song. It's not, you're not going to get any chugs or whatever, stuff like that.
I must admit, I only really know Hot Fuzz, so... That's the thing.
Even their records that aren't that popular are a bit weak, they have 4 or 5 really good songs on them.
Yeah.
Every Killers record has 4 or 5 amazing songs. I saw them live in Toronto recently.
At the World Cup of Hockey thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
In the summer. And Brandon Flowers is an unbelievable vocalist. Whether you like their music or not, when you see them live, he's just a show tune kind of guy, right? He comes across a bit of a lounge lizard, but they were based in Las Vegas.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they were a cover band before that, so you can tell his stage presence is fucking on point. It's
well, that's the thing. I think that the Killers kind of get lumped into this kind of period of time when back in when they first came out,
early 2000s.
Yeah, when they were hugely popular. Coldplay was really popular too.
Yeah,
and they were always kind of compared to them, the American Coldplay or whatever.
Yeah,
and I feel like Coldplay has always been I don't know, they haven't put out anything good in years.
In my opinion. Yeah, in our opinion, yeah.
Yeah, but it sucks for bands because they always get lumped in with a certain genre or a certain sound or a certain time period.
Yeah.
And, I feel like the Killers, they're better than that, and they should be recognized more because they are really talented musicians, And Mr. Brightside is one of the greatest songs of our generation, I think.
Yeah, in the 2000s for sure.
Yeah, say what you want about it. I think it's a great pop song.
It is.
Great guitar licks.
There's actually a prequel song called Miss Atomic Bomb, which was on Battleborn, their last record. And one of the riffs, you don't know it until you're listening to the whole song, and then in the bridge, one of the riffs from Mr. Brightside comes in the background, and you're like, that sounds familiar. So I looked it up. And it's actually a story, and it's a prequel to Mr. Brightside, what happens right before. So, anyway, what a great song about, like, heartbreak and just a vulnerability of getting the girl and maybe not getting her, and is it all in my head, and all that kind of stuff.
It's definitely a relatable song.
I love singing that song.
All of us have definitely been through that
at
one point in our lives.
And it's funny, because me and Ben, we always have high expectations with bands, like we were saying Coldplay. We're not big fans of Coldplay, but I will say they have a few songs that are unreal.
Yeah, like Fix You.
Fix You may be one of my favorite songs of all time. It's emotional. It's depending on the day, it's very effective.
No matter how you're feeling, though, it does hit you. Like if you're happy, it'll make you happy. But when you're down, it'll break you down. Yeah,
and I don't know their like B-sides or their. I only know their hits. Really,
I like their early stuff.
Yeah,
but I got into them before I got into Radiohead. Once I got into Radiohead, I realized how much Coldplay ripped off Radiohead.
Okay, see, that's like Muse. Muse has that too.
But Muse is lumped in with Radiohead just because their singers sound so similar.
Yeah.
They have that falsetto stuff.
Yeah.
But their music is very different. Radiohead, they were in that Brit pop wave.
Yeah.
But Coldplay came in like 99 after it was like going away.
Yeah.
And then, but their first record, Parachutes, with like Yellow and Trouble and all that stuff, it sounds so similar to OK Computer.
Okay.
And it's like, I was like, oh man, like it kind of made the music less enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
And then they put out that huge album, Rush of Blood to the Head,
with
like The Scientist and all those songs.
Clocks.
Clocks, that's probably their biggest song, I would say.
Yeah.
And Fix You. And
I think it kind of went downhill when they put out
Viva La Vida.
Viva La Vida, and then apparently he the melody, vocal melody.
They got sued
by Santana.
No, Joe Satriani.
Oh, I thought it was Santana.
No, it was a guitar player though.
Okay.
And they ripped him off, and I think it's still being settled in court or something.
But it's like when you listen to it, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
it's like
apparently Chris Martin has been quoted prior to the people finding out to the song for being a big fan.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's none of my fucking business, but whether or not he accidentally did it or not, listen, I've written songs before and I've noticed that the melody is similar to something, and I shut the song down.
Yeah.
As soon as I notice it, I'm like, this song either has to change or it's in the garbage. And maybe he didn't notice, But I think that album was like either Coldplay fans went along with it, but after that album, it was kind of like even Coldplay fans lost interest.
Yeah, like Milo Xyloto or whatever.
And they're getting more dancey and stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's when I started, like, as soon as it was, like, dancey, I was like, no, this isn't.
I don't mind dance music, but I want there to be... Sometimes I feel like when people start working on pop dance music and stuff like that, the lyric content starts to be cheap.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest pet peeve. I'm all for dance music if the lyrics are fantastic. That's just who I am, though. If you're not a fan of lyrics, then you might enjoy new Coldplay. Anyway, let's not talk about what are we talking Coldplay all day? We don't even know if they're putting out a record in 2017.
Yeah, but that stemmed from The Killers. So The Killers, that is another album we are looking forward to.
What about you, Ben? Another one.
Another one for me, Mastodon. Why don't we talk about Mastodon? We'll head to the metal world. So, Connor's not a huge Mastodon fan like I am.
I do like Crack the Sky, though. That punched me right in the face.
That is a very common... A lot of people say that about Mastodon, though. Love Crack the Sky, can't get into their other stuff, which is really surprising because Crack the Sky is a progressive album.
Yeah.
Very progressive, but at the same time, I think it is their masterpiece, and their last two albums, The Hunter and Once More Around the Sun, they were more alternative than they were metal, and this is where people are starting to get upset. They think that Mastodon are just succumbing to the record company and producing music that's more accessible to people.
Yeah.
And
metalheads can be dicks.
They're the worst fans in the world.
They never want, like, listen, I love Iron Maiden, like some of their stuff.
Yep.
But some metal bands, they stick to what I understand. They stick to what they're good at. But it's just don't. Sometimes it's like, don't you understand? People get bored and they want
Yeah.
to try other things. They're getting older. They want to try stuff that's softer, so it's easier to do live.
Yeah.
But
And like you said, like musicians, they evolve.
Yeah.
You don't just stay playing like, well, a few bands, example, AC/DC, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Slayer, you know, but these bands, they aren't, when they put out new albums, you aren't excited to listen to them. Whereas other bands, you're really excited to when they put out something because you know that they put out something and they strive to put out something different every time
Yeah.
they release something.
yeah,
So that's with Mastodon. I feel like their last two albums, they were trying to do it, and some of the songs are good.
there are. I would say the Hunter is better than.
Yeah, Once More Around the Sun. I agree.
I never even listened. I think I tried to listen to that one, and I wasn't a fan. So.
No, the Hunter had some great songs on it. Like
There's some Floydy songs.
Yeah, The Creature Lives.
The Creature Lives.
From that
That
album,
song I
great.
really like.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
But they've released two songs from the upcoming album in 2017.
What is it like?
Sultan's Curse is the first one. It's the first two songs from the album. And it's a classic Mastodon song. 5 minutes, progressive metal. It's what you expect. But the second song, Show Yourself. Show Yourself! A lot of people are getting upset about it.
What is it, ballady or something?
It sounds like Queens of the Stone Age and the Foo Fighters. Like, exactly. Like, it
okay.
doesn't sound like Mastodon. And it's just a very, like, simple 3-minute song.
Yeah.
So people are complaining, saying they've sold out. And this band used to be the greatest and all this. And
Fuck, I can't. Honestly, in this day and age, selling out, it doesn't make sense to me
No.
anymore. I mean,
unless
music isn't bought anymore.
no,
I'm not saying that, like, okay, of course, like, don't just write songs that are strictly for the radio if they're not going to sound good. If you want to, go for it. But
no.
with, like I said, it's
And people
let them try
yeah.
new things. If
Yeah.
it doesn't work, okay. Like, you know, Metallica tried Lulu with Lou Reed, and it's known as one of the biggest failures. Has that stopped you? No. I would rather a band take risks.
Moving on to the next band.
One that I'm very excited about, but I don't know too much about, so I've kind of not been talking about it too much, is Gorillaz. Gorillaz is one of the best bands from 2000s for sure. That is for sure. Damon Albarn, he actually started in the band Blur, and if you know the song, it's called Song 2. Woo! And I feel heavy metal. Woo! It's in all those Coors Light commercials. And every
yeah.
time I tell people that Gorillaz is Blur, well, one of the members, they're blown away because the music is so different.
Yeah.
Blur's more recent stuff feels a bit like Gorillaz,
Yeah.
so it's not as shocking. But I'm very excited for the new Gorillaz. I love everything they do.
What was their last album?
The Fall.
The Fall?
The Fall was a shorter album that was released after Plastic Beach.
Okay.
And it was all done on an iPad.
So kind of like
wasn't-
what Trent Reznor did, like with his
The
music.
Slip?
He did one of
No,
his
not on The
albums.
Slip.
One of the soundtracks was
Okay.
made all on an iPad.
Okay, I
Like
didn't
while
know
he was
that.
on the road with someone.
Okay. Oh, no, you know what it was? Year Zero was
Yeah.
done on the road when he was touring with Teeth.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Fall didn't get a lot of, like,
Yeah.
radio
I
play.
haven't even really heard.
I don't think it was meant to be. It was just thrown out there. He didn't tour it after.
So
It was like
so it's like
Plastic
kind of
Beach.
like a contractual obligation, maybe.
no. I think he just went. These were what I think he wrote it while he was touring Plastic Beach,
Oh, okay.
and he just released it, and he hasn't touched anything since. I'm sorry, Gorillaz wise, he's done like a musical called Dr. D.
Big thing about him, Adele contacted him, wanted to help her write her new album.
Yeah, and apparently it didn't go over well.
He said the music sucked, wasn't as good as 21, and he didn't
Oh.
want to. He said you need to go like somewhere else or whatever, and he told her that, and she took it as like this guy's a dick.
Yeah,
And, like, you know, he was her hero, right?
I think she said she was emotional at first, and then she did an interview later and said, like, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out
That's true.
when your heroes work with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I forgot about that. I'm very excited for Gorillaz. That's definitely one. Like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about there. There's a lot of people that have been on the records, a lot of rappers and stuff that are going to be on the new record as well.
Personally, I don't know a lot of Gorillaz. I know their first song, Clint Eastwood, and I know Plastic Beach, which I love. Connor showed it to me, and that was one of the records. Connor always has, the good records to show. So
Yeah.
he has it on vinyl. I want to get it on vinyl because
Yeah.
it's just got so many different styles on it. But it's one of those albums that has that, but it flows incredibly well despite that.
Yeah, every song is completely different.
Yeah.
Demon Days is their biggest. It is known as their masterpiece, but I felt like Plastic Beach just went somewhere else and was so shocking how different it was.
We need to talk about U2. As much as we don't want to.
We're not big fans of U2. We like their older stuff.
Yes.
The Joshua Tree we were talking recently is one of the best albums of the 80s, for sure.
No doubt.
There's a lot of bands that try and capture what what the Joshua Tree brought. So U2 a couple years ago put out the Songs of Innocence, which caused they got a lot of flack for because it was like downloaded onto your iPhone or iPad immediately
without asking,
without permission.
Yes.
They've apologized for it. The album was not that good at all.
No,
and the album before that wasn't even that good either. But I liked it a little bit better.
No Line on the Horizon.
Yeah, it's actually got some good tunes on it.
Yeah.
But this album was a huge disappointment. So we just wanted to talk about what they're working on next because we kind of thought it was funny. So their new album is going to be called Songs of Experience instead of Songs of Innocence.
So confusing already.
It's already confusing. And the fact that their last album didn't do so well, why call this album something very similar? But maybe they're not going to listen to ratings anymore, which is a good idea because I always feel like U2 is trying. I understand they're trying to outdo themselves. And they're trying to reinvent themselves.
Well, at the same time, everyone expects something epic from them too, though.
Yeah.
Because they're that band.
But sometimes I just want them to do like some raw acoustic stuff. Do something.
Like from the early 2000s. Their early 2000s stuff. Like when they kind of reinvented themselves and went back to like a more straight ahead.
Yeah.
With All That You Can't Leave Behind and the one How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb.
Yeah,
those are both great records.
They got a lot of hate for How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, and that has to do with Vertigo. And I know that they like the song Vertigo. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
14.
Yeah. So, but we don't want to touch on them too much, but The Edge, the guitar player, says there's over 50 songs written for this album. A lot of them were written while they were writing the album prior, but they felt they were completely different songs, so they wanted to separate them. Apparently, he says the lyrics are stronger than their album War.
I don't know why he has to compare things to everything.
That's what pisses me off. Every time U2 puts out a new album, they're like, no, seriously, this is probably better than the Joshua Tree. And it's like, no, it's not. It never will be. Just put out music.
Yeah, there's just this whole skeptical attached to U2. And
one really positive thing, though, is they're doing a tour this year.
Yes.
Of the Joshua Tree. From start to finish, which is the first time they've ever done that, by the way.
What do you think about the whole thing with bands touring their albums? Do you think it's cheap? Would you be, not cheap, but would you be disappointed as a fan if they played a whole album, like, say you didn't like, and you paid full admission to see a concert? Say the album takes up an hour and a half and they only play a 30-minute encore.
Well, obviously it depends on if I like it. See, for me, I usually do a little bit of research before I go see a band. Yeah. But I'm not like everybody, so I can understand. I once saw Iron Maiden during the album A Matter of Life and Death.
Great album.
Great album. It's actually one of their best recent albums, and I don't know.
From the 2000s, for sure.
Even Iron Maiden fans don't like it, and I don't understand why.
They don't like it because they toured that album and they loved it, but they played like every song on it. So that's an example.
That's what I mean. So I go see this. I fall in love with this record. My dad really liked it. We went and saw it together. And yeah, we were kind of hoping for other hits as well. But they literally played the album from start to finish. Now, if you know anything about Iron Maiden, 90% of the people that are there for the old hits.
Number of the Beast, stuff
I remember, Number of Beast, Run to the Hills.
Yeah.
I remember looking around and just older guys just pissed, like yelling, like, play some older songs, this is bullshit. And I was falling in love because I was listening to the album I knew most.
Well, that's happened to me too. Rush does that.
Yeah.
I saw Snakes and Arrows, and they didn't play the whole album, but a large material. And my dad and I loved that album.
Yeah.
But people were just like, play some odd stuff. And then we saw Clockwork Angels.
Yeah.
And they played the whole thing. Wasn't as good as an album as Snakes and Arrows. And they played the whole thing. they had like a whole string ensemble, which was kind of cool. But at the same time, it was like 2+ hours of like Clockwork Angels out of 3 hours Rush concert, and they have such a wide variety of songs. So it
Yeah.
is kind of disappointing in a way. But
It really depends on the band.
Yeah, and
Like, I like when people announce that like, U2 doing this, nobody's going to be surprised.
No.
Because it's like, we're doing an album
30th
from the
anniversary.
past. 30th anniversary, exactly. So, like, you know, if Queens of the Stone Age said we're doing songs for the deaf,
yeah, 2022.
yeah, it would be fucking
People would love
amazing.
That. The thing is, it depends on the band, and it depends on what album they're playing too. And they're gonna play an album that's obviously, they aren't gonna play their worst album start to finish. They'll play their opus, so to speak.
And I'm you know what? Even when I don't agree with some of them, I'm not enjoying some of the music that comes out from certain bands. I respect bands that go, we're doing it anyways because that's what we love right now. Like, you have to understand, bands that play their hits constantly every year, bands that have been around for 20, 30 years, when they write new music, that's what they want to play.
Yeah, that's what I never understand is like people get upset and it's like, they aren't doing this for you, man.
Yeah.
They're writing music to please themselves.
And then there's the argument that, well, I paid fucking $60 to be here. Well, then do your research.
That'd be a deal, $60.
Yeah, really.
Tickets these days for concerts are just insane. That's
Yeah.
a whole other topic, though.
Yeah, exactly. But you can't blame them in the day we live in. Nobody's buying music anymore. Luckily, vinyl sales are going up.
And it makes sense to perform like your whole album. Everyone knows it. It's going to be a good, So there is an argument that, it makes sense to perform whole albums.
But I'm sure there are bands that if I went and saw, for example, I'm not a Billy Talent fan.
They played the whole first album?
If they played the first record from start to finish, I would fall in love. But if I went and saw them today, and they played their newest record from start to finish, and then played like 4 hits after it, yeah, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck this. So it really is opinion.
One band we left out, British band, Arctic Monkeys.
Oh, Arctic Monkeys, yeah.
Arctic, not Arctic. There's a C in there.
My bad.
No, that's my bad. I said Arctic. You pronounced it right, man.
Arctic.
Arctic. All right, so last album, biggest album for them, turned them into huge. Well, they were big.
They were big in the UK, I think, more.
But this AM album, just everyone knew that Do I Want to Know. It was on commercials,
Call Me When You're High or whatever it's
Why'd
called.
You Only Call Me When You're High?
Yeah.
Are You Mine?
Yeah.
Had a lot of singles on it.
Are You Mine?
And they had that #1 party anthem, the one that sounds like an Elvis song. It's like a 50s ballad. Anyways, a lot of fans didn't like that album because it was way too mainstream, not their rocky stuff. When they first came out, I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor.
Yeah.
And Brian Storm.
Oh, that song's unreal.
Yeah. So a lot of people, their last few records, they've kind of adopted this style that combines modern hip hop with like 50s music.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect description of it. It's the guitars are very reverby, very, bare, and then
it's slowed down.
Yes.
In the past, I think that's sometimes what people get pissed off about every time is, a band decided to slow it down.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. As long as you come back a bit and show, hey, we can also do fast stuff.
Yeah.
Again, too. But I think it was a huge change up for Arctic Monkeys, and it was what needed to happen. Because the albums before that, it's much in the same world.
Yeah.
It's fast paced, it's punky, and it feels like with AM it was just slowed right down. So where are they going with the new records?
They're going back to their hometown, Sheffield, England. So people are thinking they'll get back to their roots, connect more with their hometown, get back to basics. Last 2 albums were recorded in the desert in LA.
Okay.
So that kind of had an impact on it.
Yeah.
One more band we want to mention, Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan is a main guy in Smashing Pumpkins. There's been a lot of lineup changes over the years, but he just announced that he's reforming the original lineup, new music, and tour. Say what you want about Billy Corgan. He is very, very outspoken. He has a lot of opinions, but I'm going to say that this new Pumpkins album will be the best thing they've done in a long time.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. One thing I do want to talk about before we cancel out is Tool.
Okay.
So
Smashing Pumpkins, just if you want to know.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Original lineup is getting back together. Possibly new music, but there is going to be a tour. Last band we want to talk about, actually, is Tool.
Yes.
So, Tool is one of, if not one of our favorite bands of all time.
Tool has always been, if you get an album, you got to wait another 5 years to get a new one. They take their time with their records and all that. But there's a lot, apparently there was a lawsuit.
That was the main reason they couldn't write or record things, because it put like everything on hold.
It kind of pissed me off though that they didn't bring that up for years.
Yeah.
Because like, not a band that even comes close to them, but 30 Seconds to Mars got in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And they announced it not right away, but they were like, "Hey, just so you guys know, there's a lawsuit going on with Virgin Records, and they want to sue us for $30 million because we didn't meet their deadline." And they did a whole documentary on it and how the fucking record companies sometimes just abuse the shit out of the artists with these old contracts that they try and pull out of their ass. So when Tool, I almost don't know if I believe what happened. I've lost a lot of faith with a new Tool record, and out of nowhere it was like, oh, just so you know, the reason why we haven't written anything in the last 7 years is because we're under a lawsuit. It's like, why wouldn't you have told us that? But anyway, that's not besides the point.
I feel like every time we hear Maynard talk about the new Tool, it seems like every time he's asked about it, he says something that just completely loses your hope, or you lose hope when you hear him talk, because it's like, oh, I don't really, things are being worked on, but I have to hear music first. And he's been saying that for like 4 years.
Well, yeah, because the process with Tool is the music, like, the drummer, the bass player, and the guitar player, Adam Jones, Danny Carey, and Justin Chancellor, sorry about that.
They do all the music first.
And then Maynard hears it.
Yeah.
And so apparently there was a feud back in the day with Adam Jones and Maynard. And they wrote Lateralis and 10,000 Days without being in the studio together.
Yes. After being together for a while, they discovered that they kind of clashed. But, a lot of great bands are like that.
Yeah.
But this thing is, it just seems like Maynard recently went on the Strombo show to talk for about 45 minutes. And he talked about all his bands, and then he said, George asked him at the end, what do you see in the future with all these bands? And he says, some of these bands I see great progress and great innovation, others I see as roadblocks. And to me, that sounds like he's talking about Tool.
There's a certain way of making a Tool song. There are rules to Tool.
Yeah.
The art is very, everything's very strict.
Yes, and everything I feel like Tool have kind of screwed themselves because they've waited so long, and that there's no way that, unless it's like, well, I guess another Lateralis, that it's gonna live up to the hype.
Even if it's a 10,000 day, like I love 10,000 Days,
but people don't like it as much as their other stuff.
But I don't think they're gonna go back.
No,
they're not gonna go back. Like Maynard is unless I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but Maynard, from what I've heard, and even a Perfect Circles stuff, even live shows, and of course Puscifer, he doesn't have the vocals he used to have. No. And it seems like he likes to write a lot of tame music these days. And I'm sure Adam Jones and those guys are all for that too. But I think what really gets in people's way, and it's happened with Led Zeppelin too, where you hear Adam Jones talking or Danny Carey, and it's like, oh, the album's coming along so well, like it's, it could be released in 2016. Like at the beginning of 2016, they mentioned there could possibly be new music released.
Yeah.
And then Maynard came out months later with an interview going, I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. I haven't heard a fucking song yet to write to. So I think there's miscommunication. I don't think Maynard is as, these guys aren't like best friends.
No.
They just make really good fucking music together. And that's the sacrifice they'll make is, hey, if Maynard can't be in the room while we make music, then that's what we're going to do to make music. So anyways, while we were waiting for new Tool, I'm a huge fan of Puscifer. In some ways, maybe this is sacrilege, I like Puscifer better than fucking Tool. Sorry, throwing it out there. V is for vagina.
You're gonna make us lose listeners, man.
Yeah, right here. People are like, what the fuck? Yeah. But Puscifer is so surprising. Their latest record, like I was saying, Money Shot, was not as shocking as their releases prior to it. But as long as Maynard keeps making music, so he's working with a Perfect Circle. That really, people got all pissed off when Perfect Circle announced that they were going to be working on new music because they were like, oh, that's going to delay Tool.
Yeah.
But like we said, Maynard doesn't write to Tool until he receives finished music. So while those guys are making music under Tool, he's probably going, okay, I'm going to take this time to work with Billy for A Perfect Circle.
Yeah.
So fans need to just, I feel like fans of Tool, it's like treated like a fucking religion, and sometimes
Man,
it takes the fun out of it.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like it's become bigger than a band or music.
Yeah.
It's like people expect holiness from Tool. They're like the one band that stands out above all the rest.
Yeah.
And I used to agree, but since they haven't put out new music in so long, my attachment to them is definitely not as strong as a band who releases music more often.
Yeah.
That
Obviously, we always go back to their music and we're like, fuck, you're
Yeah.
reminded of how great they are.
Yeah.
But it's just, you can only listen to, like, if you think of how many songs are on a Tool record, technically, like, actual, like, full-length songs.
There's only about 10 songs, if
Yeah.
you don't count, like, the segs that they do, or the
yeah,
segues.
interludes and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Which is fine. That's what I love about Tool. They're not like any other band that way, but I'm just hoping they put out a record that, I will say, don't fucking put out a record just because the fans are
Yeah.
aching for it. Take your time and put it, like, Blink has run into that where they just, they keep making promises, and then finally they're like, fuck, we're almost done the record. Let's just grab these last 4 songs that aren't that good and throw it on and release it because fans are getting pissed. Don't do that. And I trust Tool to know that those guys are, I'm giving my example as Blink-182. Tool are insane. They're unbelievable musicians, and I trust them. Take another fucking 5 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
My worry, not my worry, but what would really hurt me is if Maynard stopped writing music entirely. So as long as he has A Perfect Circle and Pussifer while we're waiting for new Tool,
But
I'm excited.
Maynard has recently said that he has been awakened again musically.
Yeah.
That he's excited to make music again, and he's really looking forward to this year. So
yeah,
that gives me some hope for all of his bands.
Yeah.
But I don't think Tool will come out with an album this year.
Nope.
I'm sorry to say, but if there's potential for Perfect Circle, if Maynard loves doing his wine and Pussifer and stuff, I just don't see how he's going to fit all 3 of those projects into one.
I don't know if Pussifer's doing anything this year. They've done a lot.
That's true.
They've toured, they've put out an album, they put out a remix album, and I think Pussifer's been pretty busy over the years, and I think they're going to take a break while he works on his other projects. So.
All right, so that was our list of the most anticipated albums of 2017. We have 9 Inch Nails, we have Tool, Perfect Circle, Mastodon, Queens of the Stone Age, Gorillaz, Killers.
Yeah.
That's a lot of great bands, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands coming out, just some, without getting into it. Roger Waters is apparently working on something this year. He was like the core member of Pink Floyd,
yes.
I would say. And with all the, once again, with all the Trump stuff going on, he seems really fucking pissed off. So
That's what motivated him to write music again. And he's working with...
Thanks, Trump.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
I will say that, well, we shouldn't expect it, but I think that the type of music we listen to, there's going to be a lot of backlash for speaking out against Trump and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's going to make some good music.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Because while that country is dealing with some shit, hopefully some of them can survive with some really angsty fucking angry
I agree.
Political music.
All right, guys. Thanks again for watching episode 2 of the New Noise Podcast. We will catch you for episode 3 later on. Hope you have a good one.
See you later.
Ya.